And there was a lot of respect between the two artists. Now, the most remarkable Peace Corps volunteer I've ever met was a woman called Elsie Bark. She was in her 70s and had retired from teaching school, I think in New Mexico. And my first visit to Hawaii was in 1969 when I came here to help train the Peace Corps volunteers before they invaded my country. And we trained them on the island of Molokai. Very different now in Molokai today. We trained them there, and the Peace Corps staff wanted to deselect her because they said she was too old, she would not be able to take the vigors of Samoan life. No, I refused. I said, no, Elsie will make the most wonderful Peace Corps volunteer because we have enormous love for old people. I'm turning more and more to that view too as I get older. So Elsie Barr came to Samoa. She was in her 70s. She taught at the training college that helped train our teachers. And she became a member of one of our most respected families, the Malaysia family of Falealili, one of our aristocratic families, who adopted her and made her part of their family. She also became an accepted and very, very valued member of the Suluape family, the family of the Tatauists. And I think at that time, this young man was only 19 or 20. And guess who tattooed Elsie Bark? It was this young man. And not only did they tattoo her, the malu, she wanted the malu, it wasn't forced upon her. She also was conferred the title Suluape, the chiefly title which this man holds. The title was conferred on her. She now lives in New Mexico, I think. And a few weeks before I wrote this paper, she wrote to Malama Malaysia, who she helped send away to university, and he's got a PhD. He now directs our Center of Pacific Studies. This woman helped finance his education. According to Malama recently, Elsie wrote and said, it's going to be very funny watching the faces of the funeral, what do you call those people who look after us for our final journey? Undertakers. She says in her letter, it's good, don't know what the look will be on the undertakers' faces when they see my malu, when they prepare me for my final journey. She has this very remarkable sense of humor. Now, I'm sure that one of the reasons why we're fascinated with tattooing is because it is to do with blood, human blood, and with deliberately bleeding the body. The flying fox is the bat, is Dracula, is Batman, is vampirism, is leeching, and so on. Now let me speculate further. In a deep psychological, mythological, symbolic way, tattooing is the act of printing or scripting a genealogical, philosophical text on the blood, of testing it to see if you can bear the pain of being in a human body, of giving it story, of giving it human design, shape, and identity, yet risking all of that if the tattooing results in you bleeding to death or in you contracting AIDS. You notice the people wincing because the tattooist was not wearing surgical gloves. That was in 1981. Our words for blood are toto, T-O-T-O. Our other word for blood is ele-ele. The other word for blood is pala-pala. Ele-ele are pala-pala, and pala-pala are also our terms for earth, soil, mud, and so on. We are therefore, as human beings, made of earth and soil. Our blood which keeps us alive is earth. So when you are tattooing the blood or the self, you are reconnecting it to the earth, reaffirming that you are earth genetically and genealogically. This may help explain why, despite the enormous fear of AIDS in the late 80s, tattooing never stopped. It diminished in popularity, but it didn't stop. Undergoing the tattoo is challenging death and risking your life. And for a while, the fear of AIDS slowed down the demand for tattooing. But when the Tufunga Tatau adopted very strict standards of cleanliness, including the meticulous sterilization of the instruments of tattooing, tattooing again continued to enjoy unprecedented popularity. For instance, the man there now, Suluape Paulo, is a full-time Tufunga Tatau who has tattooing kits and travels. He travels all around New Zealand tattooing. He travels to LA, San Francisco, Alaska, and places like that doing the tattooing. Now, during the years, over the years, some people have tried to bypass the pain by taking painkillers. That, of course, is totally unacceptable. And once the Samoan people find out that you had painkillers, they consider your tattoo a Hollywood tattoo. It's only pretends pain. So you will find today that most Samoans who get tattooed do not have the painkillers. They don't even have the electrified needles. They still continue with the chisels and bone used there. Now, to end this, because some of you look as if you want to leave, I'll leave a few minutes and you can ask some questions. If you do not have the tatau finished, your reputation and your children will inherit that reputation, and their children will inherit that reputation that you're a coward. And it will continue in your family. So when you put the tatau on, it's not just for you. Don't forget that your children and their children may suffer the reputation of your tatau. And this is why some of our greatest rugby players, have you heard of our great rugby team, the Manu Samoa? No, I haven't. You play a different sport here. A lot of them wear the tatau, and so it looks like long shorts when they're playing. Okay. So I will end by asking this question. What is the post-colonial body in the context of what I've just said? It is a body becoming, defining itself, clearing a space for itself among and alongside other bodies, in this case, alongside other literatures. By giving it a Samoan tatau, what am I saying? I'm saying it is a body coming out of the Pacific, not a body being imposed on the Pacific. It is a blend, a new development, which I consider to be in heart, spirit, and muscle Pacific. A blend in which influences from outside, even the English language, have been indigenized, absorbed in the image of the local and national, and in turn have altered the national and local cultures. You'll notice I do not use the term hybrid. I prefer the term blend or new development. I find the term hybrid and hybridity, which sort of fills a lot of my students' papers, I'm not saying yours, offensive, because it applies to me genetically. It is still related to that racist vocabulary of the 19th century about race, where you have the pure Caucasians, the pure of this race, and anyone in between was either half-caste, quadroon, mestizo, mixed blood, and so on. I find the term quite offensive. Even though Homi Bhabha, who was one of the people who perpetuated it, didn't realize that. He thought he was taking a term and using it in a new way. I don't see it that way. For instance, when Picasso developed Cubism based on African art and the art of Europe, did they call it a hybrid development? Or did they call it a new development? Is the American novel called a hybrid development or just called the American novel? Is the New Zealand novel, which is a new form of thing, is it called a hybrid development or is it called a New Zealand novel? We have to watch these vocabularies that we use very carefully, even though I know it's a deep preoccupation with the literary theorists. I have nothing against literary theorists. I read a lot of it, but I take out of it what I need and move on. So when I finished writing this paper, Raina and I were having lunch downtown in Auckland in the middle of this summer day, and we were driving up Auckland, which is the busiest street in Auckland. And what do you think we met? We saw the post-colonial body walking up Queen Street. A young Samoan dude, young Samoan man, very well-built young man. All Samoans are well-built except me. Striding up the street, and this is what he was wearing. He had blue sports shorts on. He had a latest blue T-shirt, I think, forgotten which firm. He had Reeboks. He was eating a hamburger. And he was parading his tatau under his shorts. That is visually what I consider to be the post-colonial body at its present form. And the young post-colonial body didn't give a stuff, as they say in New Zealand, what other people were thinking about his attire. He was letting his pea or his flying fox fly on the first real day of summer. Thank you.